I believe society is connected and we must work past our comfort zones to build bridges. I grew up in a place where it was manicured, vibrant, pretty. I would later learn about neighborhoods that were sick, suffering. Beauty had left decades past. This motivated me. I decided I wanted to have a dream of becoming an affordable housing developer. I wanted to turn these sick buildings, sick communities around to have healthy environments. I wanted to create hope where there's suffering. I wanted to restore beauty where none has existed for decades. In order to do all of this, I had to become a business person. That's what they called it when I first started. Now it's entrepreneur. So when I was in 6th grade, I set out to start my entrepreneurial endeavors. I decided to be a grass cutter because there's grass in my neighborhood, it needs to be cut. So I went out to my neighbors and I was quickly met with objection. You couldn't imagine how persnickety my neighbors were about their grass. There's a such thing as professional lawn care people instead of a young man with a lawnmower. So I had to quickly overcome those objections by figuring out how I can provide a near professional service at half the cost. I was able to do that and then amass about a dozen or so clients of which I've kept throughout my high school years. My second bridge that I was able to create, on my 16th birthday, I decided to go to a white tablecloth restaurant in my neighborhood. I approached the restaurateur to ask him for a job as a busboy. He hired me, told me to come back on a certain day the following week. I came back and the interviewing process was to be known as Hell Week. And that's exactly what it was. Being a busboy is hot, there's no breaks, it's dirty, it's stressful, it's Hell Week. So I almost quit that first 2 or 3 days, but then I decided to look at what the job function of a busboy was. And after I looked at that, I started to find inefficiencies. Most of the wait staff or busboys did what I called wait and see. They stand in the corner and wait to see who comes to the door. Then they get water, then they put it on the table. It's wait and see. So I developed a small innovation within the restaurateur's organization where he was able to save on his labor costs by having less busboys, and I was able to raise my revenue by managing the entire wait staff. So now as a 16-year-old kid, you can imagine, do the math, if you have $30 per waitress per night, that's pretty good for a 16-year-old kid. That's one of my second bridges I learned how to make. Moving toward actually pursuing my dream. I was 19 years old, an undergrad at DePaul University. Life started to come fast. I started to become a young man with grown man bills. So I learned how to buy my first small single-family home. I didn't have all the resources to buy it and do the rehab, but I found folks that at the time needed help getting out of their homes because there was distress in the actual physical asset. In other words, the asset needed to be rehabbed. So I would go after these owners that couldn't sell to any other rehabber and present them with an opportunity where they keep everything above their ask. They keep everything below their ask and I keep everything above. In simple terms, if a house costs $1, I put another dollar in, sell it at $3 for profit. They get what they want, I get what I wanted. I quickly learned that without me, a lot of these folks would be either bankrupt or their credit would be destroyed because they couldn't pay off the mortgages that were on these houses. Fast forward to today, 2017, my firm is now grown to be a construction and construction management firm. We build new construction houses in some of the quote-unquote best neighborhoods and worst neighborhoods, and also complete investment properties in those same areas. Now that I've taken you through my journey as a bridge builder, I'd like to give you 3 examples of how bridge building can lead to a positive outcome. First example, locally, gender, and community. Locally, there's 2 communities or a subset of communities that exist in the Chicagoland North Shore, South Shore. 2 statistically different places on the map. The only thing that they have in common is Lake Michigan. Income, employment, education, housing, race. Both very, very different. However, there's bridges being built and maintained every day with these 2 very different parts of our beautiful city. 1, North Shore banks and other financial institutions routinely partner up and or invest in apartment buildings and provide opportunities for first-time home buyers. The outcome is new apartments mean less blight, and also gives first-time home buyers the opportunity to create wealth for themselves and generationally. It is said that folks that own homes can then afford to pay for their child's college education. More education means a better job, which circles back to the neighborhoods, creates stability. 2, there's several social organizations that provide mission-based initiatives. They range from after-school programs to voucher programs. What this does, the outcome of this allows a harvesting of talent. These communities that are being overlooked have several avenues of which there's young talent that just is waiting to be found. Finally, North Shore currently is providing healthcare opportunities for folks down in South Shore, whereas the net result is access to affordable healthcare, and then it's also providing commercial real estate viability. They're taking dilapidated buildings and providing hubs for their offices, which then in turn provides job creation and viable business corridors. Secondly, my second example of building a bridge will be viewed through the lens of gender. Have we seen the movie Hidden Figures? So, John Glenn in 1962 created a bridge with 3 women, Katherine Johnson, Mary Jackson, and Dorothy Vaughan. Not only were there 3 women, there were 3 African-American mathematicians, and back in 1962, it was socially different. Maybe, right? Hopefully. So John Glenn was able to reach out to these women to create the possibility of safely going into orbit and safely returning. It is said because of this partnership, because of this bridge, John Glenn was able to successfully orbit the Earth 3 times and come back home, which led us through the space race against the Russians. My third example is near and dear, and I'll speak a little bit about my work on this. It's community bridge building. Currently, our community is in crisis. It's becoming an island, what I call a world. We do well in Oak Park, but 15 minutes away from here, we don't do so well. Or we do well in University of Chicago, 10 minutes south from there, we don't do so well. So we're actually going out and creating mentorship programs and reaching out to at-risk youth to provide jobs where they're doing everything from demolition to buildings, to security, to carpentry. What that does is that allows them to have a different lens of the world. They see folks like me that get dressed up and teach them a skill and motivate them. The net effect of that is the areas in which we're developing are now becoming hubs for hope. You're taking the worst crop of folks, turning them around, and they spread the word so that now the communities that we're working on are viable. Why should we care about bridge building? Currently, if we turn on the news or the newspaper, we see a lot of non-bridge building, a lot of separation, a lot of breakdown in society and what we're about. The essence of bridge building is creating an opportunity to succeed for everyone. Levels of success are different, but everyone should have an opportunity to win. Steps to building a bridge. Be open to partnership. I gave the example of John Glenn and the three mathematicians. Without that openness, no innovation would have happened. Think about your daily lives of what partnerships you can create. Second, be willing to accept help from unlikely sources. This is important to me because I'm the only man in Oak Park Women, right? Right? An example I gave about the young youth, I don't come from that background. It's an opportunity to create change, create a bridge, and stay open-minded, and help me work past my comfort zones of type of people I'm used to dealing with. Lastly, the bridge building process is not easy, much like building a house or a building. The partners that you go out and cultivate, the folks that you try to work with, be prepared for failure or obstacles, but have a clear end goal so that you can immediately make adjustments. Which leaves me with this. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Let's build a bridge.